Starship Troopers Terran Command may appear simple on the surface, especially when compared to other RTS games, but there are several frustrations that you'll experience as you progress through the game. So in this video, you'll find a list of tips and tricks to help you get over the learning curve, starting with the number 1 useful tip. The quickest and easiest instant change you can make to the way you play this game is to constantly use attack move. By holding control and right-clicking, or if you're all playing on Steam Deck, it's easy enough to rebind the keys. If you don't do this, your troopers will move to where you've told them to go before they'll consider shooting anything, resulting in troops running straight into bugs without firing a shot, then getting decimated. Even if you can't see any bugs, you may as well always use attack move, where you'll see the movement arrow turn red to confirm the movement as an attack move. So as and when your troops come across bugs, they will automatically stop and fire on them from a distance right away. Honestly, that tip on its own is worth its weight in gold, but don't worry, I've got even more for you. Although this game isn't micro-heavy, you do need to ensure maximum damage output from your troops in order to hold back the horde. Now, obviously, you don't need me to tell you that making the most of choke points is a must in this game, so this tip concentrates on the line of sight mechanic. When a unit can see an enemy, you'll notice this symbol appear above their heads, which looks like a little target or crosshair. It will be a different color based on the quality of the line of sight the unit has of the enemy. If it's green, that's good line of sight. Yellow is medium and red is low. If the symbol is green, that means that unit will pour maximum firepower onto the enemy. If it's yellow, then only partial firepower, as its line of sight is partially blocked, potentially by one of your own units. Then red basically means that unit can't do anything until it has better line of sight. So one of the key aims of this game is to ensure all of your troops have clear line of sight of the enemy. And a quick way to tell if that is the case is to look out for this symbol and ensure it's green, because if it's yellow or red, there is room for improvement, so you should move your units around accordingly. Following on from line of sight, you should also make sure to use the terrain to your advantage to maximize damage output. The game is full of hills, slopes, and walls, so you can position your troops in such a way that one squad can fire over the heads of another squad because they're on elevated ground. If you mix this with the previously mentioned line of sight mechanic, you'll be melting the buggy hordes before you and smashing your way through the campaign in no time. In certain missions, you'll switch between one area of the map and another, often making you feel like you need to leave one group of troops stranded on one side of the map doing nothing. However, this does not need to be the case, provided you have access to a spawn point. You can shift squads from one landing pad to another by pressing this button here, then selecting the landing pad you want them to go from, and finally, the landing pad you want them to go to. And the best part is you can do this with a whole bunch of units in one go, so you don't need to do this one at a time and wait for your dropships to recharge. Just lump them all into one and get them to where they are useful. This grouping method also works for reinforcing, rather than doing it one at a time. This next section goes into detail of how bug hives actually work to help you more efficiently destroy them. As I must confess, it took me a while to get my head around the actual mechanics behind this. And let's be honest, the bug hives can be pretty tough at the best of times. Bug tunnels will have at least one bug symbol above them. The more bug symbols there are, the more bugs there are in that tunnel. As you approach a bug tunnel, it will send waves and waves of bugs against you, until eventually you'll see the bug symbols go dull, as the number of bugs left in the tunnel reduces. Once all of the bug symbols have gone dull, that tunnel is empty, but you'll notice a red progress bar beneath the symbols will fill over time, and once full, that will restore one bug symbol, which if you're close enough will trigger more waves of attacks, while the progress bar goes back to 0 and keeps going until the tunnel is full, as denoted by all of the bug symbols being highlighted again. So how do you kill off these bug tunnels once and for all? To do that, you need to find the bug hive that the tunnel is connected to. You do that by clicking on the tunnel and you'll see a white line linking it to a nearby hive. That's the one you need to kill off completely to stop the bugs coming back. And you'll notice that often a bug hive is connected to multiple tunnels. The principle of bug symbols and draining the bug hive is exactly the same as for bug tunnels. But to kill off the hive completely, you need to deplete the hive and all of the tunnels that hive is connected to such a point where you can send a unit or multiple units into the hive to clear it out. When you hover over the hive itself, you'll see it shows you the hive strength versus your selected unit's strength. Basically, each full strength unit of yours equals 1, and each highlighted bug symbol across the hive and all of the connected tunnels also equals 1. If you deplete all of the bug symbols across the whole network, which usually contains 2 or 3 tunnels, but it can be more, you can weaken the hive to such a point, preferably 0, where you can send a team in to clear out the bugs. You can send multiple units in, so your total unit strength might be 3 versus 2 remaining bug symbols, and you'll still clear the hive, but you'll take casualties in doing so. A final point on clearing bug hives is to consider timing. Because you're often dealing with multiple tunnels that may be recharging their bug symbols at different times, you may need to spread your forces to ensure each tunnel remains empty until you're able to send your forces in to destroy the hive from within, as the tunnels and hive have an annoying tendency to recharge bug symbols just before you send your team in, so all of a sudden your team of 1 are facing an overwhelming number of bug symbols. You'll occasionally find it useful to disband some of the units you have, either because you've just unlocked more powerful units or simply to change the mix of units that you have. But don't bother sending them into battle to die, just use the disband unit button and click on the landing pad for them to bugger off. Admittedly, this one is pretty obvious, but I totally forgot about this until halfway through my campaign, so thought I'd include it anyway. Another brief one that left me feeling rather stupid for a while for not figuring this out. Sometimes you need your units to use an elevator, like this one here, and all you need to do is tell your units to go in for them to use it. A bit embarrassing, but more than once I couldn't figure out what to do next in a mission, and it's because I needed to tell my squads to use a specific elevator to get my team to the next part of that level. The next tip is to not spam special units, no matter how tempting it is once you've unlocked them. It's tempting to fill your army with rockets and snipers, but the reality is that your basic mobile infantry unit will always be useful in this game. Alright, there are better units to use down the line, but the smaller, specialized squads should be used sparingly to augment your forces, especially rockets against those bloody scorpion bugs. But the point is that the core of your force should always be made up of some good old mobile infantry troopers. If you're still struggling after these tips, then here are some units and combinations of units to try, which will help you deal with most situations. I've always found that the standard rifle trooper unit is reliable and able to deal with most situations, while having decent survivability when the bugs get too close, so you can rarely go wrong with a few of these in your army. The Mark II troopers are very powerful, but if the bugs get up close, they'll be slaughtered. So although useful, be sure to use them in conjunction with more resilient troops, such as rifle troopers, to keep them protected. One of the most annoying bugs in the game is the scorpion bug, and at times you'll come across tons and tons of them. So purely for that reason, I recommend having at least one set of rocket troopers to deal with the larger threats at range. Then a radio operator is almost always a must, as they can replenish your troops in the field, which is a bit of a no-brainer. To me, any other units on top of this is a bonus, and you can rarely go wrong with these guys. But an honourable mention goes out to pulse troopers, as they are great fun and can absolutely melt basically everything if you engage their special ability, but they do have short range and can't shoot for a while after their ability has been used. So by all means, have fun with those, but be sure to use them with other troopers and don't trigger their ability all at the same time. Then finally, for those who have the Urban Onslaught DLC, my absolute favourite unit is the M7 Cyclone, because using one or two of those almost feels like cheating. If you found these tips useful, please leave a like and a comment for the algorithm gods, and of course if you have any tips of your own, please do share them with us all in the comments below. If you enjoy strategy games, please feel free to check out the rest of my channel. Basically, any support is greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you in the next one.